And this is Excellence. Today, the topic of discussion is essay writing. What are the things that you need to do in order to write a well-structured essay, where there is an argument or there is discussion on a topic or is analysis of an issue? Because in your exam, usually topics are based on an argument or an issue. Usually there is a controversy. If there are 10 topics, out of those 10 topics, 50% topics, they have some sort of controversy. Before I start discussion, I would like to share some points, main points, and then I'll start discussion. First point, when you are going to start your essay, first point is number one, develop understanding with the subject. That is the first thing. If you miss the target, if you don't understand the topic, the whole essay will go off topic. There should be no digression. You must develop clarity. Clarity is the key. If you are clear about something, it will be easy for you to develop that argument. If you're not clear about the subject, you may go off topic and then your whole essay will turn into a futile exercise. You might have seen some of the students, they write very good essays, but they get 17 marks or 20 marks or 23. They have very good grammar, they have good vocabulary, but still, and they after the paper, they say, we have written a very good essay, but still. So it means that first thing is clarity about the subject. Try to develop some understanding. And you know what is the best approach? The best approach is first go through the paper, once, twice, thrice. And after that, try to select 3 topics, not one. And then look at those 3 topics. And after going through those 3 topics once again, like first there are 10 topics, you have selected 3, and then go to those 3 topics and then select only 1 topic. And even if like you're not clear about a single word, you don't know the meaning of a single word in the essay statement, don't go for it. Understand each and every word of your essay, and then you should select that topic. So devote some time to thinking, because if you don't think about the topic and you select the topic in a hurry, then it's highly likely that you may miss the central idea or what type of essay you're going to write. Because sometimes essays are purely argumentative essays. Sometimes they are discussion essays. Sometimes it is like the essay, the topic of this demands an expository essay. Sometimes it is just, you can say, the literary topic that you'll have to develop. And sometimes it is analysis of 2 different parts. So you will have to understand it. And first thing is, think about the subject, read all the topics, think about the subject, and select the subject you are clear. If you have clarity, 50% of your job is done. If you are clear about the subject, if you understand the subject, understanding that is the key, because knowledge and understanding, these are 2 different things. There is an essay of Aldous Huxley on knowledge and understanding. You must read that essay as well, because usually we have knowledge about things, but we don't have understanding. So try to develop understanding with the topic, so that because your approach to the essay will be based on your understanding of it. If your understanding is wrong, then the foundation that you will build, that will be wrong. And if the foundation is wrong, the whole architecture, that will be wrong. So first, devote some time to it. Like there are 3 hours in your essay. What you will have to do, spend 25 to 30 minutes on thinking, planning, and then 2 hours and 15 minutes should be given to writing, and then last 15 to 20 minutes should be given to editing, checking. So first 25 to 30 minutes, don't start writing the essay. Think about it, read the topics, think about those topics, then select 3 topics, then read them again, and then select 1 topic and make your outline. And after that, start writing. So in this way, first devote some time, think about the topic, and once you have understood, once you have thought about the topic, second thing is plan. You plan, because planning, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. Planning is the key. If you study history, Alexander the Great defeated Darius the Great. Now, Darius was a great king, and the fight took place in his own lands in Persia. Alexander the Great had only 40,000 people, while Darius had 250,000 people. But he lost. He ran away. Then again he tried. It was his planning in the very beginning when they were fighting. It was pre-decided that Darius would have easily won by just doing one thing. That is standing his ground. If he had served the 250,000 people and 40,000 strangers, aliens, in a completely different environment, and the whole population, area, topography, geography, everything that is terrain that belongs to you. But still, Alexander the Great. Why? The problem was with planning. Alexander was a very good planner. Similarly, if you see Babur in 1526, he conquered the subcontinent, and that was planning. In addition to planning, second thing which is very important, that is synergy, your positive mental attitude. If you look at Babur, for example, he had his state in Afghanistan, modern day Afghanistan. In one part, his brother was the governor or the in charge, and he announced his own government, independent government. So Babur took 12,000 people, and he was going to tell his brother that he should remain under. And when he was in the middle, he had a crown on his head and 12,000 soldiers. And the brother he left behind in Kabul, he also announced his own government. He said, I am also independent. So Babur was left without king. In this situation, if it had been any other person, he would have started waiting. But in this situation, he came to the subcontinent, he conquered this vast area, and the Mughal Empire, then one of the greatest. Mughal Empire was so successful that 26% of the GDP in their time. So it means that it was the richest state in the world. And you can imagine how it started. So when you write an essay, it seems like a big task, 3,000 words, and in 3 hours. And the topics are so alien. Sometimes topics are easier. If topics are easier, marking is very tough. But even then, if it is easier topic, you will have about 3,000 words. That is a very huge, colossal and massive task for a young student, especially when you look at the education system, the way our students study, school system, college system, in which keys are given. Even teachers, especially English lesson, when it comes to English teachers, they give keys. They look, this is my key, and it has all the questions about your paper, cram them, and then they produce. And then when you go to university, what happens in university, students are given laptops and they cut paste and they don't. So students practically they don't study English. They're not taught English. And going through this system, when you have to write a big essay, 3,000 words, like in metric, essay is very short. In school level, nobody teaches creative writing or independent writing. Or in O-level schools, they try, but in state schools like metric or FSC stream, they are not taught. So basically, students cram. They learn by heart. And then in BS, students don't pay attention to English because if you're doing BS physics or BS law or BS IR, your focus will be on your main subject, not on English. HEC has included some papers in this, but students don't pay attention to them. They pay more focus to their own papers. So that is why, with this background, suddenly you're told that now you'll have to write an essay of 3,000 words. That is too big. Here, what you need is, of course, preparation, understanding, but at the same time, you must have synergy as well. You must have a positive mental attitude, audacity, and you should have this commitment that, I can write the essay. I'll give you one example and then we'll come back to the main topics. So you should plan with a positive mental attitude. And that example is, there was a man, Langley, William Pierpont Langley. He's a very famous person. Nobody knows about him right now, but in his own time, he was the most important person, one of the most important people. An American president, War Department gave him thousands of dollars. An American president, he had direct access to American president. He was given coverage equal to American president. And he was connected with the best brains. And the task he was given was in 19th century, he was given this task that he should build some sort of flying machine so that American army could have superiority over the enemy troops. But in spite of having all the money, thousands of dollars, in spite of having best connections, best brains, in spite of having direct access to those who were the most powerful people, American president. He could not. Why? Because his focus was not on developing that machine. His focus was on, coverage in the newspapers. And I am important. So that was, and at the same time, when he was being given thousands of dollars, when he was being given coverage, when he was the star, at the same time, there were two brothers. They had no money. They were not educated. And nobody from their team was even educated, college graduate. And they also knew that it will be difficult. It will be difficult for them because they used to go for experiments, testing. They used to take 4 parts because they knew they would fall 4 times before they come back. But they had this positive mental attitude. They had this vision that one day they would invent a machine that would fly and would change everything. And they were committed. They had resolve, dedication, determination, and they kept on. And when they were successful in 1903, when they took their first flight, New York Times was not there. New York Times came to know about it 3 days after they had taken their first flight. But today, it is a reality. And when that person, he came to know about this instead of going to those people and talking to them that, let's do it together. He said, no, it's not possible. But even then, those 2 brothers did not give up, and they kept on trying. And finally, aeroplanes are reality. So when you're writing the essay, I know it's a very difficult task, but you should not give up. You should not feel that it's something impossible. It is, first thing what you need to do is, number 1, you should know technically what is the essay, how to write the essay, what are the prerequisites, what are some of the great essay writers. And then you should develop these essays because your essay is different. In our lifetime as a student, we were told to develop expression only. If you had good expression, you could have good one without knowledge. But your essay, it demands knowledge, research, ideas, quality ideas. So you must plan. Now this planning is in 2 parts. Number 1, within the exam. When you're sitting in the exam, plan, write, and edit. You have 25 minutes, 30 minutes, because total time is 3 hours. But when you are sitting right now, you have 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So you can, one American president was asked to deliver a speech. He said, what kind of speech do you want? The person asked, what do you mean? He said, if you want the best speech, then give me at least 2 weeks. I need to prepare. If you want an average speech, then give me 1 week. And if you want a bad speech, then tell me where to deliver. I'm ready now. If you want to write a bad essay, write now, without planning. If you want an average essay, then work a little bit. If you want a good essay, then you should work. And when you are at home, you have to plan. If that will be planned, it will become a pre-written speech. Right now, select some of the topics, like current affairs, one topic about women, some topics about economy, COVID-19, this pandemic, write about this pandemic and 1918 pandemic, and there are so many other such events, catastrophic events. You can work on them, do some research on them, and then planning will become pre-writing when you are writing at home. When you're in the exam, it will be planning. When you are preparing at home, that will become your pre-writing stage. You have a lot of time. You can read books, magazines, research articles. You can discuss with teachers. You can discuss with your friends. You can go to magazines, online resources, internet. Plus, you can all sources are available to you and you have all the time. In exam, your planning will be different. At home, it will be different. Pre-writing stage, then writing stage, and then rewriting. But in exam, it will be different. So planning will be different at home and when you're sitting in the examination. So in fact, your planning starts now. You will start planning the essay right now. You will start your research right now. So that when you are sitting in the examination hall, you must be ready for any topic. And we can predict some of the topics. So it is not difficult to predict. So you can have enough ideas. And you will have to remember 2 things you will have to work on during this planning stage. 2 W's. Number 1 is, what is it that you're going to write? What means the material, substance, ideas? And number 2, how. About what? I would suggest one essay. It was written by Longinus. He was a Greek writer. He wrote an essay that was on the sublime. He said that whenever you say something or write something, it must have sublimity in it. What is sublimity? Sublimity is the ideas have the potential to attract the attention of others. The ideas must be lofty ideas. They should not be substandard ideas. So what students do, they think it's 3,000 words, so we can write anything. It is not. You will have to write quality of arguments, ideas. That is the key. So you have to work on two W's. What is the topic? Number two, how are you going to write? How means the approach, the format, the style, according to the given instructions. And number two is your expression. Your expression, that is the key. And your English expression. Unfortunately, students, they have to write the essay in English, and English is not our mother tongue. So we have these problems. We'll have to work on it, and we'll have to develop your expression, your style, your language, and it cannot be developed overnight. It will take time. So every day, start working on number one, the building blocks. Number one, words. You should have enough store of or lexical resource. Number two, sentences. You should be able to put those words into proper sentences. Number three, paragraphs. And number four, overall, you must groom yourself what to write and what not to write, what to exclude. Because usually students in young age are tempted. If they have a good idea, they want to put it like in simple words, in young age, students want to impress the examiner. Yes, we know that we are writing the essay for the examiner, but in fact, we are not writing the essay for the examiner, we're writing the essay for ourselves. We are, because your essay is usually a composition on a given topic, and it is one person's perspective. It is your perspective on a given topic in prose. So it's usually a short composition. In your case, of 3,000 words, so it may not be that short. It's on a given topic, and it will be your perspective. And it should be written in an entertaining or pleasant tone. Should be neither too serious nor. Like you should write the essay in such a way that the examiner, when he starts reading, the essay must have enough ideas and enough strength and expression that the person, it should create some sort of interest in reading. And how can you do that? You can only do that when you can write your essay must have your own personal touch. It can have your own personal touch. If the essay is not your essay, like if you cram material, if you learn things by heart, you borrow ideas, words from others, and then you try to reproduce them. Like you cram some paragraph and try to reproduce that. That is where the essay does not remain original. Originality of style is, it should be like when you have taken metric, FA, BA exams, in those exams, Urdu and English papers, there is one question, first question, that is explained with reference to the context. Now, you are given 3 lines, but after reading 3 lines, you guess the name of the person, poet. You also tell the name of the drama or novel or poem, and you also tell the context, like from which part, beginning, middle, towards the end. Like you have understanding that Ghalib, Iqbal, or Wordsworth, John Keats, T.B. Shelley, these are different poets. So you can easily guess them. Why? Because they have their own personal touch. They have their own identity. They have their own originality of style, which makes one writer different from the other. Like Shakespeare, read a few lines and you will guess he is Shakespeare, he is Iqbal, he is Dante, he is Goethe. You can easily differentiate. And how can you differentiate? That is your style, that is your imprint, that is your personal touch. So try to be original because your essay will be different. Shah Shams Tabriz, he came to Multan, and over there he was given a cup full of milk. It meant that symbolic meaning of this was that Multan is full of saints. There is no room, and you go to some other place. He understood. He plucked a flower, floated on that cup, and sent it back. He said, I know there is tough competition. The cup is full of milk, but I know the art of survival. I will survive in this tough competition, and I'll be prominent, like this flower and this milk. So he survived. He survived. Barack Obama, the black president, It was impossible. In my lifetime, I've seen it. And he became the president. He wrote a book, Audacity of Hope. And then in front of all eyes, he defeated Hillary Clinton in the primaries, Joseph Biden, and so many other candidates. Bill Clinton was the father of the American Party, then, Democratic Party. But he defeated. He snatched the primary, and he was offered vice presidential seat in the primaries. He said no. He kept on. And he started his campaign. I was watching on CNN. CNN gave him a little bit of coverage that, these are the main candidates. And there is also a black candidate, African American. And I remember that image is on my mind. I can't forget it. On CNN, I saw a black young man. He is standing, and I saw the rostrum like this. There was a town, Hope, H-O-P, Hope. He started his first campaign from the town Hope. And we saw he won the presidency. But it was on his mind, all from the very beginning, audacity of hope. So when you are doing anything, you must have it on your mind that, you would do it. So in this way, everything that you do would be with a purpose. Because quality of arguments, that is, how can you develop quality of arguments? That is, you will have to, number one, you will have to read material. Number two, you will have to read what type of writing you're going to do. You're going to write an essay. That will be different from novel, drama, poetry, and story. And you will have to read good essays. What are some, in English, the father of English essay is Sir Francis Bacon. In American essay, Washington Irving, he is the best essay writer. In France, Montaigne, he was the first, and he was the first person who used the word essay for this genre, for this type. Similarly, if you go back to Greek literature, you'll find Theophrastus. Greeks are the first in everything. In essay, they're also the first. The first person was Theophrastus. He wrote sketches. So he was the first one. From Theophrastus to modern day essays, you will see that you should read them. They have their own particular style. Everybody is different. Edison is different, Steele is different, Washington Irving is different, Francis Bacon is different. Everybody is different. It's just like our voice strengths. They are different suddenly. The essays are different. You should see what is their style, how they develop the essay, how they start the essay, how they develop the idea, how they conclude the idea. So you should know what is the essay. You should read those quality. Number one, you should read material. Number two, you should also read those writers, good essay writers. And you should try to see what is required of you to write a good essay. And then you should, first thing is you should read. And after reading, number two, develop critical thinking, because your essay should be research-based. Only 4 to 5% students, they get through this exam. 96% in 2016, 2% students passed. 98%, 98 means 100%. 98 means 100%. Everybody failed. And so for that, just reading is not enough. Number one, reading with a purpose, so that we select the quality ideas. And number two, it is develop critical thinking. Develop critical thinking. Like Bertrand Russell was told a story, detailed story, and in the end, his grandmother told him that the ship sank and everybody on the boat was drowned. He said, everybody on the boat was drowned? She said, yes. He said, then tell me the real story. It's a fake story. Because if everybody on the boat was drowned, who told you the details? That is not possible. So, whenever you say something, you must be on a solid footing. And you can, when you read, you should be skeptical. You should question these. Only in this way, you will have, number one, enough material, ideas, quality ideas, and number two, you'll be able to discuss the essay from multiple angles, from different angles. You cannot give a lopsided story, one-sided story, and then you can expect the examiner that, he should give you good marks and you should get it. No, that is not possible. So planning is a very long process. It starts from today. When you start preparation for the exam, within the examination hall, it is just a replay of what you've already done. Because number one, you are tense. Number two, when you see there's so many people there, you are, pressurized. And examination does have a pressure. Even if you take me to the examination hall, first 5 to 10 minutes, even I may be, pressurized. Abraham Lincoln was one of the greatest presidents of the United States of America. But whenever he used to start his speech, first few minutes he used to tremble, first few minutes he would. And so exam has a pressure, no matter how confident you are. But within the examination and summary, decisiveness, that is very important because out of 10 topics, and you can select the topic out of 10 and select the right topic, that is when you have planned. And planning does not mean just 25 minutes writing 8 to 10 points and that's all. No. If you have read quality books, essays, you understand the topic, the format, different essay types, only then you'll be able to write a proper essay. Otherwise, you will not be able to write the essay. So planning, number one, take your time, think about the topic, select the right topic. Number two, planning in the examination hall and planning outside the examination hall. Number three, third point, which is very important, that is material, research. You will have to make a list of topics: current affairs, women, economy, taxation, governance, and some controversial topics. One or two topics from science as well, IT and computer, and right now about this recent event, which has the whole world, the planet is locked down. So this is a very important topic. So first thing you should do is search and collect material about this topic, because general science and ability, you will have this. Pakistan affairs, you will have this topic. Essay, you will definitely have this topic. So start research, collect material. And when you collect material, what students do, what I have seen, usually books are available in the market. Students go and they buy those books, or they go to different websites like CSS Forum or some of the other platforms that are on social media and internet. They go there and they just take the outlines and they teachers, those people, like somebody who has been teaching for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. Because usually you start lectureship at the age of 20, 22. And when you retire, you are 60. And your paper will be marked by senior teachers, professors. And how do you think that those people don't know? They haven't read? Yeah, some of them were written by them actually, or by their students 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So that is why examiner already knows what is available. Try to give something new, and then you will be given awards. And if you have something new, examiner can give you marks beyond your expectations. I can share one real incident, because when students are planning, they say, sir, we won't get good marks. Like just the target is 40 only. We should just get through. That is not the case. There was a boy, he was given 163 out of 150 in English by University of the Punjab before partition. The teachers were not like us, because English is not our mother tongue. We can make mistakes. They were British teachers, the English teachers. It was their mother tongue. And that teacher gave him in some books 165, in other books it is 163 out of 150. Numerator and denominator, always, numerator is smaller than, but that boy got 165. I use 165 because this is a very, inspiring incident. The teacher was told to revise, to recheck. He said no. Finally, when the teacher was not ready, then he was told to write explanation for this. Like, how is it possible that you can give more than 150? The teacher wrote explanation, became history. And when that boy grew up in 1970, he was given Lenin Prize in Moscow. And this incident was shared with the audience. And it has been written in the preface of his book. You can read it. The boy was Faizan Faiz. He got 165 or 150 in English, given by the English. So people think that, it is not possible. When I was a young boy, I also got 99%, 97% in board exams. And it was. So it's my personal experience. My student, when I started teaching, my student got my first session of teaching, 99%. 99%. My principal, he came to me and he said, how is it possible? You knew that? I said, I know. He said, why? I said, go and check my documents. And then I shared this incident of Faizan Faiz. I said, it's your mindset. If you are well prepared, if you have read things, if you know things, then, and my teacher, Farooq Zadsa, he was my teacher, and all my teachers were like great teachers. He told me that he would get 70 marks in English essay paper. I said, okay, I'll put. And I got something. I knew it before I went into the examination hall. And I prepared. And what I prepared, my teacher told me that you should give something. It should not be, you should not just confine yourself to your syllabus. These are the topics, he gave me topics and he said, prepare. And don't just study these books, study something different. It's my personal experience. I have seen those people who get 70 marks in essay. It is number one possible. And in Tracy and composition paper, 85 marks are possible. I have a friend in Punjab College, Qazi Imran Haider. His student got 97 out of 100 in Urdu paper, in intermediate exam. And he's a very humble person, very nice person, but he's a very humble person. I asked him, I said, sir, no, it's enough. Nobody can get 97 out of 100. He remained silent. He did not say anything. He kept on working. Do you know what happened next year? Another student, he got 98 out of 100. Can you imagine? 89 students got A1 grade, 80% plus. In Urdu paper, 98. These are real incidents. So, the kind of perceptions you have developed. Learning is not just learning, sometimes it is unlearning. So those myths, you should just get rid of those myths, develop a positive mentality. Your planning does not mean, your planning number one should be different. Number two, when you are searching for the material, you should look for something different. Like instead of reading books which are key books available in the market, you should not. You should read books. If you are reading books, you should study Bertrand Russell. You should study Ariel Durant and Will Durant. Their books, Lessons of History, Mentions of Philosophy, Pleasures of Philosophy. Why you should read such books? Why Nations Fail? You should read those books. Why? Because number one, you will have genuine ideas. Number two, you will also come to know about the style, like how native speakers they write, how is their style, how they develop the topic. So it will be good for you if you study such writers. You are aware of some good writers, so you should work on that. And that is when you collect material, you can use internet, of course you will, because all these magazines, newspapers, they are available. Number two, you should read books. You should read periodicals, magazines, journals, everything. But book reading is something that you must do. Because usually students, they don't go for book reading. In Pakistan, book readership that is very low. So you must read books. Every week, you must read one book. If you want to write a good essay. Similarly, Dawn newspaper, number one, business section. You must read that. Number two, editorial page. Number three, opinion page. And then most important news, you should read them. Similarly, if you think that your field is IR, your field is computer, your field is physics, English, you must develop your own field as well. Like develop knowledge about your own. You must have a fairly good command because you may get one topic from your own field. So instead of going for something unknown, it is always preferable to go for something that is known, that you're well aware of. So do some research and do it differently. Next thing that we'll have to do, that is think of outline. Outline will have number one, the topic. Number two, your thesis. Number three, main points. Each point will be converted into one body paragraph and then conclusion. And it must have diverse thoughts. Shakespeare says, variety is the spice of life. If your outline is based on only one point, one topic, one issue, one side of the topic, it won't be accepted. When you are making your outline, if you have taken a position, you can give 80%, 70% arguments will be in favor of your position, of course, but you must discuss the other side as well. Taking position does not mean that you deny or you simply refuse to accept the existence of the other side. No, it does. This will make your essay more rational, comprehensive, and complete. Otherwise, it will be incomplete. So think of outline. After that, the most important thing in your essay is introduction. How to write an introduction. Your introduction it must answer three questions. Number one, what is the essay about? Number two, what is your take on it? And number three, what is coming ahead? So there are three things that you will have to keep in mind while you're writing your introduction. Number one, what is the topic? In your own words, you will have to write, like, use close-up technique. Number one, take up, like if you watch CNN or TV channel, what happens first? They give a long view or long shot. They show the whole studio. And then they bring it near that anchor person where that newscaster is sitting. That is middle shot. And then third stage is they focus on the face and the computer laptop of that anchor person. That's called close-up. So you start with the broader area, the field, like it's about education or science or terrorism or climate change and then you narrow down, middle shot, and then quickly come to the main point. Don't take too much time. Some students, they write introduction, then write one body paragraph, second body paragraph, third body paragraph, and then they come to the topic. And in the meanwhile, examiner loses all interest because you will have to keep in mind that you're going to write an essay. It's not a book. Even if you're writing a book, you should. So your introduction your outline is very important. Sometimes students write too many points in the outline, too many. And then they are unable to write all those points in there. Sometimes the outline is too short, too simple. So outline, you should practice now. Like in 3 hours, how many paragraphs can you write? Because 3,000 words, that is the target. So whether you can write 12 paragraphs, if you write bigger paragraphs, 12, 14 are. If you write smaller paragraphs, then 60. Because if your one paragraph is 150 words or 200 words, then 15 paragraphs will make 3,000 words. If you're writing 150, then you must write 16 to 18. One introduction, one conclusion, that will make. So you should work on 12, 14, 16 arguments or points. Some arguments can be for, others can be against. So it is start developing this, like how many words do you write in one paragraph? According to that, then you can write the essay, like 12, 14, 16, how many paragraphs. So outline, number two, introduction. For introduction, I can suggest one program. That will be very useful for you, for if you're preparing for exam. Because that program is for educated people, for teachers, for students, for researchers. And that is GPS with Fareed Zakaria on CNN. I like that program very much. Why? Because the format is very close to what we call your essay. And especially the essay that is based on issue or arguments. Number one, he introduces the topic. Fareed Zakaria, CNN, GPS. Now it's available on YouTube. You can watch. Don't watch all the programs. You've got programs which are like write the topics, and you will find many of the topics that are in your syllabus, you will find there. So he has already done program. He has been writing in the media, as well in the media, when I was in your place, 25 years ago, I was sitting there, and he was right. I used to read his column first. In those days, he used to write Newsweek International. I thought he was a Pakistani. But later on, I came to know that he was an Indian. But still, he is a very good writer. Be careful, he's prejudiced against Pakistan. But, you are grown up. As Ariel Durant and Bill Durant, when you study them, they are prejudiced against Islam. So you have to be careful. But I've already told you that you will not just buy all the ideas. You will have to question. So I hope so you should know these things, and you will come to know. And if you come to know it in yourself, that will be good. Try to work on it. This program will be very helpful to you in writing introduction, because he introduces the topic, then he gives his opinion, and then he invites guests, and his guests are highly educated. We are not like Pakistani media. For every program, we have one person. He is sick. And I don't want to name them because I have respect for them, but they should not be on television. Everybody, you don't find anybody. Now, some of the good journalists who were doing programs, they are out. Some of them, they are doing YouTube channels, but now they are so bitter that they've lost touch with that neutral, unprejudiced program. They are against somebody or they are for another person. I don't know why the reasons, but unfortunately, here we don't have. But Fareed Zakaria, he's also bitter about Donald Trump. But still, you will find his programs are very effective if you want to build or discuss or analyze an issue. Because he takes issues, your essays are issues, you'll find them. Another entertaining thing that can be good for beginning when you are starting, that is, you call them seasons as we have Arturo or these. So there was American season as well, that is Boston Legal. Boston Legal, there are two teams of lawyers. They take a controversial topic, and two sides, two teams of lawyers, they discuss those things in front of judges. And then judges finally give the verdict. That can be great. Third thing that I can suggest is watch those programs on Pakistani media, especially, where or Indian media, like current Thakur's interview, with only those people who are in foreign service, our secretaries, retired foreign service, watch their programs, like how tough questions are put to them and how they apply. Or fourth example could be Javed Ahmed Gandhi. If you compare him with the other scholars, we have very good scholars, but if you compare him with the other scholars, he's always cool, calm, collected. Point number two, he's always clear. He's not doubtful. He doesn't give ambiguous answers. He's always clear. Number three, he takes a clear position, and with confidence, he substantiates his claims. He gives substantial evidence. And then he says it with complete confidence. I like his confidence and his language. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't get angry. Like you can ask any question to him and he will. And your essay should be like that. Don't behave like an enemy. And sometimes our essays are just verbosity. It's not verb. So I've given these examples to you. See how these people tackle difficult questions. And you will find that I think this is how you entertain an argument. This is how you discuss an issue. Tough questions. And so you will have to remain cool, calm, and collected. Introduction is the key. Number one, topic. Number two, your position. Number three, what is coming ahead. Like in body paragraph, whatever you're going to write, you will have to write that in the introduction. Win-zip form, précis, summary form, not like the detail. You will have to convert that into video. So it will be a good practice for précis writing as well. And then you have body paragraph. First question, first problem is you tell the students, but still they don't listen. Like there was an old Sardarji, sorry to my friends who are Sardars. I have some friends who are also, so I hope they won't get. Sardarji was discussing with his grandson. His grandson said, Dadaji, some people, you ask them any question. There are some people, they always reply to every question you put to them. They say, aho. So what kind of people are these people? He said, these are foolish people who have no idea, no knowledge, no like these. After some time, his grandson asked him a question. He said, Dadaji, are you educated? He said, aho. So, we don't understand what you're saying. We know that, but we practically don't do it. That is the problem. Get rid of it. Now, this is the first problem. You tell the students that introduction should be short. Giving all these points does not mean that you have a very long introduction. No. Point number two is first body paragraph. This is where the problem starts. Students want to give details, background, history. They say, I want to tell the examiner. Well, the examiner already knows about these. He has already studied. He has spent time in teaching. And especially English teachers, all teachers are very good, but English teachers, they check essays. And that is their job. They have been teaching. So you should not be worried about the examiner. Essay, you're writing the essay for the examiner, but actually it is projection of your image. You will not go to the examiner in person and he will not see, he will never see. God thinks examiners don't meet the students and students don't meet them. Otherwise, so many of the examiners have been killed. Because students, when they fail, they are very angry. So, examiner decides whether you deserve to be a CSP officer or you don't. How? Just by reading a piece of paper. You're right. So, it is not just essay. You are projecting your image. Your whole image is projected. It reflects students. when the examiner decides whether this person is 70, 60, 40, 38, 32, 70, or 87. So be careful. Your essay is you. You are telling all your knowledge, your achievements, what you have done. You are conveying it through that essay. So be careful. Write a very good introduction, and then after introduction, when it comes to body paragraphs, the problem is it starts here. That is, students, they want to write very, like in 2015 and 16 reports of the exam. Exam is also written that students, did not discuss the topic. They started discussing things which were irrelevant. So if the topic is global warming is a myth or a reality, so you have to tell that global warming is a myth or it's a reality. You should not start discussing causes of global warming, history of global warming, effects of global warming, this, that. No. Topic. If the topic is just global warming, yes, you can. But if the topic is an argumentative topic, then you cannot. Yes, but I know students have this problem. So what you can do, you can give one paragraph that could be for that language. You have this permission. Maximum 2, not more than that. But I think one paragraph is enough. Whether the examiner asks or not, you can give one paragraph, but not more than that. Then after that, each paragraph will be based on one central idea. So you will have to work on it. Introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. When you give body paragraph, each paragraph is based on one central idea. It is based on one central idea. And then conclusion. Your conclusion is very important. When you are going for conclusion, that is also extremely important. Conclusion, number 1. When you discuss the essay, body paragraph, you should be realistic. You should be realistic. You should not be naive. You should not be too simple. You have to be realistic. You should discuss it. And realistically, you should discuss it. You can criticize, but you should not forget your position, your original position. And in the middle, don't change the course. You've already spent 25 minutes. You already spent 1 year or 2 years in preparing and taking position. So you should, once you've taken position, you can change that in the middle of the essay. And that's why, you know what some people do? First, they write the whole essay, and after writing the essay, they leave the first page, and then they write the outline. They take paragraph, yeah. And this is Lahori method. I mean, I should not blame Lahoris, but you know, Lahore is the center of learning. So don't use this method, please. Don't. Because the teachers, they know it. You won't get very good marks for this. So you should be original, and you should be authentic, and you should be genuine. You should not write fake essays, fake outlines. That's unfair. Examiner comes to know about these things because they have a lot of experience. And examiner is like your mother. Your mother, she sees you, and she knows everything. Why? Because you were born with their hands. So examiners know it. Because that's the job. They have been checking these essays for a very long time. So don't try to be over smart, or don't try to impress the examiners. Don't try to show the examiners that you are a very smart, intelligent person. You can just deal with the topic. So each body paragraph, you can discuss each body will based on one idea. You should not forget about your position. And these body paragraphs should be according to the outline that you have made, in the same sequence, same order. And then conclusion. You must be careful about conclusion, that your conclusion should be according to the position that you have taken. And your conclusion must end on a positive note. You have the freedom to criticize, but the ending can be positive. It should be positive, not be negative. Don't show a negative mental attitude, because criticism does not mean that you should show a negative mental attitude. And then you will set about, right, yes, one more thing, quotations. When you have quotations, quotations should not be cliche or trite. Some students, they write quotations which are worn out, old. Everybody knows about those quotations. Well, examiners get bored about it. Examiners get bored about it. So that is why you should work on new quotations, something that is new writers. Every day, there are people writing books. So try to find out something new. Don't try to give outline, because the examiner should feel that this is something I'm reading for the first time, or I haven't read it. Because if the examiner has checked 100 essays, 20 essays, 30 essays, he also feels bored. He wants something new. If you are giving something new, it means that you have created interest. Everybody, even in my age, when I learned something new, I feel the same level of excitement that I used to feel when I was a teenager. Same level of excitement. Even in this age, I feel the same level of excitement that I felt when I was 18, 17, 16, 20, 22. Now in 43, I feel the same kind of excitement. And I love learning. Still, that is something which you can say that it's innate. Human beings are curious by nature. Even if the examiner is an old man, he has read a lot of books, but still, if you give something new, he'll be entertained. And that is what the essay needs to do. Your essay should be pleasant in tone, it should be entertaining, and it should have something new. Robert Frost, the American national poet, he said, two paths diverged in the wood, and I took the one less traveled. And you must have conviction in what you're writing. Emily Dickinson was a very famous poetess. She wrote, she sent her poetry to the newspaper, and the newspaper said, no, sorry, editor said, your poetry will never be published. And the editor said, fame is not in your fortune. Forget about it. Emily Dickinson, she wrote back. She replied. And that letter, she said, if fame is not in my fortune, I cannot get it. Otherwise, I cannot escape it. She died 40 years after her death. Her poetry was discovered, it was published, and today she is among top 3 American poets. All over the world in universities, her poems are taught at graduation, in even sometimes MA English or BS English courses as well. But graduation, all over the world, can you imagine? So have conviction in yourself as well. Whatever you have read, if you believe there is something new, so be confident. Be confident. I was watching the interview of Barack Obama's deputy chief. She is a very short girl, but I mean, the ideas she had, she said when I was going to present those ideas, I felt a bit scared. But then one day Barack Obama, he called me and he said, don't see such, sometimes she was flustered, so she said something to someone and president was told, and the president called her and said, you are the deputy chief, you have a very important position. Be confident. And she said, then after that, I never showed anger. So you are going to be the CSP officers. You'll be the one to manage the country. Be confident. You are important. And the ideas you have, you must have faith in yourself. So there should be new ideas. Don't repeat old ideas, worn out ideas, because nobody likes them. And try to be positive. And then sometimes students in the essay, they show their weakness. Like how? Sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly. Explicitly, sometimes they tell the examiner that, this is all what I know, I cannot write more. No, don't. If you cannot develop a paragraph, don't leave it in the middle. Don't include it. Because already you have an outline. Why are you including the point which later on you can develop or convert it into a paragraph? Don't. Sometimes students, they do the whole essay. Number 2, what happens? Sometimes they leave the paragraph incomplete. They start the paragraph, they leave and go to next. Sometimes conclusion there is it. No, you will have to time yourself and it should be complete. If there are 12 points, there must be 12 paragraphs. They should be, and all these must be proportionate. They must be proportionate. There is a movie. If you are free, you must watch that movie. One of my students, he gave me that. He told me that, watch it. Sir, please watch this movie. I said, okay, I will. But I couldn't. Then he brought the movie and he saved it on my computer. In those days, they were like boxes type computers, desktop. Then he made a phone call to me after 1 month. Sir, have you watched? I said, I'm sorry. I said, sir, please watch. I watched it. And first 15 minutes, it was so boring, I left. Then again, he called me. He said, sir, have you watched it? I said, no, I it was boring. He said, please watch. Then I watched this movie 3 times. And it's a Brad Pitt movie. Brad Pitt is the hero of this movie. And it is about reverse teaching. The curious case of Benjamin Button. The boy is born old and he grows younger. And you know what happens? When he's born old. His own parents basically kill him. So he's thrown into an old home. Then he starts growing younger with another girl, and she's growing older, he's growing younger, they grow adult at the same time, they get fall in love, they get married. He says, I'm growing younger, you're growing older, and you know how will it work? She said, don't worry, I'm in love with you, so I'll manage. And then they have a daughter. The daughter is growing up, and the father is growing younger. And one day his wife she sees, and she says, you'll have to leave. You'll have to go. He said, what do you mean? You said you'll manage. She said, yes, I will, but your daughter, how will I tell your daughter that you are the father? How will you manage her, give her time? How will you go to PTMs? How will you tell her that you are the father? She will have to take care of you. He understands, and one night he leaves with a very happy heart, tears in his eyes. It's very painful. Beautiful, but at the same time, in the end, it does. So in the ending, finally, he reaches the same old home. And the same old home, they again make a phone call. He has a diary. He said, you have lost a child because there is a diary and your phone number and address has been mentioned. So I think it's your child. He's your child. She says, yes. She's the wife. She goes there and she picks her husband, and that husband dies in the hands of his own wife. Meryl Streep is the heroine, and Brad Pitt is the hero. Wonderful movie. And you should watch that movie. The purpose of it's about reverse staging. Why I shared this example with you, the example is proportionate. Your essay must be, like in that movie, the lesson we learned is everything that he has or he does is the same. He has a job, he gets married, he makes mistakes, he flops, he cries, he takes part in World War II as well. His parents, they reject him, then his parents, they come, they apologize, they take him back. Like, he has friends, he has enemies, people love him, they make fun. Everything that happens to you, to me, everything that is the same. 99.99%. Only a fraction, only one thing is different. One factor is different. That is reverse staging. And his whole life is destroyed because of this. And the people around him. So your essay has a lot of things. Like number one, the essay must have clarity. Number two, syntax, mechanics, grammatical range. Number three, it should not be illegible. Number four, it should not be memorized. It should be original. Word limit should be complete. There should be no digression, lexical resource, equation and equations. Like there are a lot of things. But all these things must be proportionate. If everything is there and you make spelling mistakes, frequent spelling mistakes, you're lost. If everything is fine, but we have grammatical problems, sentence structure, that will be a problem. So if everything is fine, you've given all the other factors, but it is not to the point. Or you're not clear, you don't develop your essay, you have ideas, you get a wonderful outline, best outline. But what happens that you don't develop your essays, your paragraphs, you don't develop your paragraph, you don't provide enough substantial evidence to your paragraph, even then the examiner will not, he cannot give you good marks. So that's why you will have to keep in mind that the essay writing is an art, and this can be learned, but then after acquiring, you will have to practice it. And when you practice, you have to keep in mind that it has three parts. Number one, the introduction, 10 to 15%. Number two, body paragraph, the 80%. Number three, conclusion. Introduction should answer three questions. What is the topic? What is your take on it, or your thesis statement, and what is coming ahead? So in this way, your introduction becomes essay in miniature. Then your body paragraph, each body paragraph is based on one idea, 100, 150, or 200 words, and you can follow any of these styles. Either cell approach. In cell approach, you can write a central idea anywhere, or pyramid approach, where you start with a specific idea and then you generalize, or inverted pyramid approach, in which you start with a broader statement and then you end on a specific. In the middle, you can give examples, evidence, data, and or you can follow this approach: linker, focus sentence, supporting sentence 1, supporting sentence 2, 3, and then RL. RL stands for revise and link. Revise the idea and link it to the main idea. So you can follow any of these approaches, but remember one simple thing, that true ease in writing comes from art, not chance. Art is when you create beauty. and your aesthetic sense is satisfied, that is art. Art is different from knowledge. And as those move easiest who have learned to dance, Alexander Pope. So you have to work on it, and then your conclusion, number one, linker of conclusion. Number two, sum of the discussion, take it to the climax, give an air of finality, reinforcement, and look into the future. In addition to this, number one, when you start writing the essay, you will have to develop it. It's not just knowing the essay that is not done. You will have to work on it, and it will take a very long time. So you know how you can do? Number one, you can work on these things like, number one, understand the topic, select the topic, think about it, focus, define the topic, limit your topic, what the subject is and what it is not. Similarly, so when you have a lot of ideas, you should select and deselect those ideas as well. Gather material, brainstorm, think about it, and if you have your own ideas, you can otherwise go read books, newspapers, magazines, try to make an outline, organize your outline, topic, thesis, main points, for body paragraph, conclusion, summary, effective introduction and conclusion. When you set about writing the essay, before you write the essay, you should know what is the introduction and what is the conclusion. Before you start, like I'm delivering this lecture, I know what, like I already planned it. I knew what I was, but as I can see now, you have started fainting, so I have to conclude it. But otherwise, it's half of the lecture that I had planned tonight. I was planning that it would be a very long lecture, but I can see fasting is very tough. Yeah, so it is. So I have to cut it to half of the lecture. I'm going to end it. Don't worry. And it is So, but you have to work on it. You should know. When I started lecture, I knew what I was going to say, what I was going to share with you. So you should know about it. It's like you should know. It's not where you are going, your destination, and number two, how will you approach that? That is also important. That is also important. So you will have to, and similarly, first write rough draft of yes, then write second draft, then write the final draft, and check the points are valid. You can substantiate, and you final draft. That is where you don't have misquotation, and whatever you want to say. Keep in mind this. Whatever you want to say, the examiner, the person who is reading, he should also feel the same thing. He should also feel. And today's discussion, similarly, you should also read different styles like descriptive style, argumentative style, narrative style, or narrative writing, descriptive writing, argumentative writing, expository essays. Like you should work on that. And similarly, good writers like Edison, Steele, Bacon, Benjamin, Newman, Ruskin. These writers are very good writers. Similarly, some of the good speakers, best orators. You should also watch speech writers of American presidents, British parliamentarian speeches. You can also from Pakistan, Ruedad Khan and Ayaz Amir. Their articles, you can read their articles, and Dr. Atar articles. Similarly, Dr. Farooq Salim, he writes capital suggestion. Raja Kaisar Saab, he also writes, and if you want to improve your vocabulary, you must listen to Shashi Tharoor, India, TV channel. He uses difficult words, and Raja Kaisar Saab has very good vocabulary. So you should read his writings as well. And he is from your field as well, so that will be good for you. Similarly,